What is going on, LOF fam? So I'll be riding through this one solo because the topic we're actually talking about is relevant to what I have going on this weekend, and part of a scheduling thing. So we're going to be talking about maintenance, travel, and holiday. So more specifically, how to basically approach if you're traveling, if you're going on a holiday, if you're going on vacation, and what that can look like for maintaining the results that you've worked so hard for, or even progressing and continuously seeing results throughout the travel, depending on what your goals are and how you want to look at this. So the reason this is relevant is I'm actually leaving for a nice long weekend vacation to Virginia Beach tomorrow. And that's why actually, unfortunately, Chuck couldn't be on because we had a scheduled time. He's running a little bit late, so he might actually have some bonus content to add on to this, but I had to get this done because I still got to pack and get things done. And that's where I found having a schedule is not just important for my day-to-day life, but for traveling as well. And this is going to come up when we talk about some of the actionable things that you can do while you're traveling on vacation, holiday. And you may already be saying, Mike, I don't want to have a schedule. That's the point of going away. Don't worry, I got you there too. It's just one of many options and variables we're going to have. And you can see even more. We're going to have a download PDF resource for you guys. So just check the description below, whether you're watching this on the podcast, on our audio platforms, on YouTube, on social media, however you're consuming this, there's going to be details in the description. You'll be able to get that free PDF resource. So let's dive on in. And first, we're going to talk about driving. And then there's even going to be in the PDF, we split up driving as well as flying. I'm going to kind of lean more towards the driving component because flying is going to have some tips and things you can do, but usually flying is pretty quick. It's not more than a day. If that, like usually it's going to be what, like 2, 4, 6, 8 hours, maybe if you're traveling across the world, going to Thailand and stuff, maybe it's 20, 24 hours, something like that, but cross that bridge. So first and foremost, we're driving. The key thing is you're going to be in a seated position for an extended period of time. And there's going to be opportunities when you get gas to stop and to move. But in the meantime, what are you going to do? You might stop and get food. And that's actually a task that we can talk about, how leveraging some prep ahead of time, being able to still have a plan. And that's why it's so important what we do with our clients and what we always preach here on this platform. And really everyone we talk to is having a plan in place and having this idea of where are we going? What's the process that we're working towards and working with here? And this one's going to be just a little bit of meal prep. What I found really helpful that Ashley, I got to give credit to my wife, has been knocking out of the park, especially packing for this trip. And where I'm going to be doing the same thing for my packing is having these like little sectioned off bags that go in your bigger bag, whether it's for your clothes or for snacks, dry items, wet items, cold items. We're putting in a cooler. We're prepping up some of our normal food and we're treating it as normal as possible while also considering I'm going to work out. I'm going to try and work out right before we leave. And then we're going to get in the car and I'm going to be pretty stagnant the rest of the time, right? I'm not going to be burning the same amount of calories. So we want to be mindful of when you're traveling, you're more than likely not going to be burning as many calories. That's one. Two, now let's talk about that strategy with how the food looks. What are some of my choices? And then we'll even start to get to like, well, what if I want to be active and I want to get moving throughout this trip? Maybe I'm a truck driver, maybe I'm a commercial driver and I'm wherever you're flying a plane, maybe, and we'll talk about that aspect as well as a pilot even and how that can look like for your lifestyle. So first and foremost, let's talk about some of the things that I'm going to be bringing, what we're going to be utilizing. One, I love deli meat. So we're going to go minimally processed, and just taking some turkey meat. I'm going to wrap it up with some provolone cheese. Boom. I'm not even going to add bread to it. We also are going to have some fresh bread that I'm fortunate enough that my family, Geraldine's Bakery, has a bakery here in town. So we get fresh bread from there, which is I actually prefer, not only because of the taste and the amazingness, but actually I know what's going into that bread because our family's making it, right? So I know exactly what's going in there. There's no additional preservatives or additional things that I'm not aware of, which really gives me more peace of mind. So that's one. And we have kids too. So we're traveling with them. So we're going to have a little bit of pretzels. We're going to have some crunchier items. We have these like veggie sticks that are mostly made from like potato starch and some other veggies like beetroot thrown in there, but the girls seem to really like it. So we throw that in there so they have a little bit of fiber and they have some crunch and some snacks, as well as having those roll-ups with the turkey and the cheese. I'm going to go without the bread. I already know my daughter, Lena especially, is going to want to go with a sandwich, and then she's just going to make a mess and rip it apart. That's how she likes to roll. So we're going to have that. We're going to have apples, oranges, have peanut butter little containers. You can either like buy the containers that are weighed out and measured. So you have like 1 tablespoon or 2 tablespoon versions, or you can actually just like pre-weigh or measure them, depending on how serious you want to get into that. But that's a great option as well. So you have everything pre-packaged, saying, all right, I have 1 serving of this, 1 serving of that. You can just mix and match. Makes it a lot easier to keep yourself going. And I'm going to have 1 category of protein, 1 category of vegetable, 1 fruit, 1 starch carb, if I'm even going to have a starch carb, and then 1 source of fat. So you have a nice balance to your meal, and they're all kind of broken out. So that's a big tip that I found really helpful. I highly recommend everyone that's traveling, if you can do that, you have time ahead of time, and you're traveling, it's not like a last minute emergency or a quick kind of turnover situation. Prep yourself up, set yourself up for success with that in mind. Now, let's talk about, that's one option. Let's talk about another option. If we're not going to have prep for whatever reason, let's say you're listening to this, you found this while you're actually traveling. You're like, shit, I didn't prep. I didn't do all the things I needed to. I'm already on the road. What can I do? What's my best options here? Let's talk about being able to move. You didn't get a workout in, let's say before the trip started. So being able to, when you do stop for gas, being able to get some stretches in. And again, we have some more information on the movements and exercises you can work in, from stretch protocols to even exercise to help with your heart rate, engage certain muscles like scapula, lats, your back muscles. And if you guys are like, what the hell are you talking about here? I'm talking about like all the posture muscles in our back, or at least some of them, that when you're driving, again, you're getting into this kyphotic or this rounded forward position. Anteriorly, the front of your body is getting pulled forward. So by being able to just pull your shoulder blades back, having good posture can help reinforce that and engage muscles, so you're not just getting an imbalance there. As well as you can also work some ab exercises just by, right now I'm doing it talking to you guys, pulling in. See how you see that little kind of like deviation or that little just space move? Do that, hold it for 5 to 10 seconds, and while you're driving, and relax. Pull it in, hold 5, 10 seconds, relax. Just by doing that is another great way to, again, get some movement in, get a little bit of heart rate, burn a little calories, nothing crazy. I wouldn't really count that as like hardcore exercise, but being able to positively reinforce that goes a long way. So that's one aspect, getting in the car. Now let's talk about when you do get gas, being able to leverage stretches, getting some range of motion in those hamstrings and those hips, because they're going to be tight and they're going to be in a fixed position. But here's a really important one that I don't think enough people talk about is when we are driving, I'm going to just kind of pan down here. You're going to see, again, the sides of my legs. And what we want to do is, it's natural for us to kind of like lopside, feet to one side, go like that. And when we do that, by getting into those kind of cheated or kind of shifted positions, you're compromising, or you're just favoring maybe one hip versus the other. You're starting to lengthen certain muscles on left side versus right side, which over time, it doesn't seem like a lot for 5 minutes, but when you're driving 2, 4, 6, 8 hours, even in a plane, trying to maintain as neutral a position as possible can really leverage, or at least help, when it comes to keeping balance, especially for anyone, not just vacation, that's traveling, for all my athletes out there, fitness, high-level performers, that you're going to competition. Be mindful of that. Obviously, you're going to bring a foam roller with you, hopefully, and you're actually going to like mobilize and stretch and work through things, but also be mindful of that. But going back to everyone still on vacation, even that, because you're here for a reason, right? You're into your fitness, you're into taking care of yourself. So that's something to just be mindful of. You don't have to go that extreme. That's more of like, again, a personal choice. And that's where we even talk about how dedicated and how much do you want to sacrifice, or what feels realistic and sustainable for your life, even approaching when we do travel. And we'll get to that once we actually arrive at the destination here in a second. But just to bring home and finish up with the traveling piece of it. So we got a little bit of, we have movements, we have exercise, we have stretches, we have position awareness. Now let's talk about food choices. Not that we didn't pack with us, but now mostly fast food places, right, that we're going to stop at. So trying to make the best decision possible. And this is, again, I try and keep it simple as possible. This is where our kitchen rescue pack, it's a PDF resource that we've had in other podcasts. We'll put it below as well, is really valuable because it breaks down food into very basic categories of a protein source. It has a veg source. It has a starch carb source if we have activity and we want to gain those extra calories. And it may not make sense for everyone if you didn't, especially to work out that way. You don't need as many carbs, truthfully, because you don't need as many calories coming in. And then a fat source, and even that you can be like mindful of, like being, again, aware of how many calories you're taking in from the fat and from the carbs. Protein, we're going to want just to maintain muscle tissue. That's not going to really be that big of a deal. Veg, we're going to want because usually the calories coming in from your vegetables. Fruit is tricky because you can have more sugar content. So again, it may not spike insulin and blood sugar as much, depending on what it is. Like raisins, not the best choice. An apple, oranges, a little bit better. Grapes, another great choice. Berries, great choice. Those are going to be a little calorically more dense, as well as not spike your insulin and your blood sugar. So you have more time to burn those calories off. But anywho, let's go back into, now we have some of those options, but we're stopping at a restaurant where, fast food options, or let's say even a gas station, right? We don't even have the fast food option. We're going to try and again, go back to the protein, go back to the veg where possible. So that's like leveraging, let's even say we're at a gas station. We don't even have like a salad we can get from a fast food place. So you can't do like chicken on a salad and do like either no dressing or light dressing or something like that. That's a pretty decent choice, honestly. Almost any fast food place you go to, you can get a salad, you can add chicken or a burger with no bun to it, and then you can add in a little bit of dressing to give it some flavoring. And that's not going to be absolutely horrible, probably between 350, 500 calories, maybe 600 calories, depending on how you go with the calories from the dressing. But you're going to have the essential nutrients to not break down muscle tissue, to feed the nutrients, or to take in micronutrients, vitamins and minerals. Sometimes my brain wants to go fast and my mouth wants to keep going. You guys know. So have a nice diverse spread of nutrients coming in, right? So when we go to a gas station, maybe we switch it over to a fruit like an apple, orange, even maybe a banana, depending on how we feel, but we still got our protein coming in from nuts, from maybe some cheese, from some meat, from one of those P3 power snacks. Maybe we go with a protein bar. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan. They're basically glorified candy bars, depending on which ones you go with. And if you're aware of that, you're cool with that, that's fine. But if you're thinking like, oh, this is a really healthy option, just look at the calories, look at the carbs and the sugars in there, and be mindful of that and the ratio of protein to carbs that you are getting. So those are some helpful, hopeful choices for when we're actually traveling. Now let's say we get to our destination. What are some helpful strategies and points that we can look at? Gotta stay hydrated for you guys and for myself, right? So here's a key point is, again, still have a plan. This is where, if you're working with a coach, if you're working with us, or you already know, we've probably talked about this, or start to talk with us about it. We'll start to talk to you about it. And if you're on your own, start to have a plan ahead before you even got to vacation. What do you want? Do you want to, Chuck and I have talked about this in prior episodes. Sometimes, like for this weekend, I'm not going to go super hard. Like I'm not really going to drink. I'm not going to really have any crazy fried or anything outside of my normal, because, I'm just going to enjoy the company of the people we're hanging out with and our friends and the girls, and like be active. We're going to be on the beach, but I'm not really going to go too outside my normal, because I know in July, for the 4th of July, when we go away for that vacation, I'm going to go a little bit more outside my normal, and I want to have a little bit more freedom there. And that's what's sustainable for me. If you want to have a 10% body fat, body composition, this is where it would look different than what I'm going to do. You would really have to be strict and tighten up that program. And that's where you got to ask yourself, do you really want a 6-pack? Do you want to maintain that year round? It's totally cool if you do, but it's going to take a different kind of effort than if you want to just maintain a healthy body composition, feel good about yourself, be at a weight that you want to maintain. That looks different as well. That's where it can give you more wiggle room. So again, being aware of what you want and then going in with that plan, saying, okay, cool, I'm going to map out, these are the restaurants I want to probably try and go to. Here's some of the foods that I think I should get or that fit with my plan, what I'm normally doing, or I'm going to give myself this little bit of wiggle room. And that is, again, where a coach can be a great resource. And that's what we do with our clients, is being able to help pick out those menu choices. And if you don't want to do that, then just, I'm going to warn you guys, be prepared. When you come back, there's no surprise. You're going to put on extra weight and you're going to retain more because you weren't really being that aware, setting yourself up for success. Now, that doesn't mean it's not possible. You can do intuitive eating and you can be mindful with your food choices, and you can have skills built where you can use your hands as a reference guide, like use your hand to portion out, like, all right, cool, I'm going to eat about half of that. Or listen to your body when you're starting to get full, stop, have some water, go for a walk, and then come back. There's all these strategies we've talked about in different podcasts, and we'll talk about elsewhere. And you can even see them in the PDFs below. But be aware of what you want to do there. Go with a strategy. Don't just show up at vacation and just be like, now what am I doing? And have no plan whatsoever. It's a great way to fail. That's the food piece of it. Now, on the other side, training piece. Keep up the training. Like, I'm going to still train. Now, I'm not going to bring weights with me. I'm not even going to bring resistance bands. And I know there's not a gym I'm going to there, but I know I'm going to be at the beach. So I'm going to be hitting the water and I'm going to be swimming. I also know my girls are going to be with me. So I'm going to be carrying them. I'm going to probably bring them for a run or a walk, or do like push-ups where they're going to be climbing on me. So I already have some idea of the resistance and the training that's built in. Have that in mind when you do travel. So, don't be surprised if the gym's not open or you can't have access to a gym. You should have kind of mapped that out ahead of time. And if, again, you just are surprised with, oh, this was supposed to be open and it's closed, have plans and resources where you can do body weighted. We have tons of great resources in our fitness vault, as well as even just free. If you check and follow us on social media, and you just, again, the PDFs below will have resources and links below that have great examples of this, of body weight workouts. We have our booty builder course that's out. That's not only for building your butt, but total body, and all the programming that we do. We have great resources there, and there's plenty out there, guys. Leverage those things. Go in with a plan and do your best to keep to it, and be also a little flexible. Enjoy this downtime. This is the last piece I want to finish with, is being able to enjoy that downtime if you're going in for a break and to recharge. If you end up stressing so much about this vacation and it's a source of stress, you're taking away from the whole point of going on a vacation in the first place, right? And that's not what makes a lifestyle sustainable. It's going to actually deteriorate your probably adherence to that lifestyle and probably make you resent it in the first place. So try and make sure that you're giving yourself some grace there. Stay within a decent range, or just don't judge yourself. If you go off a little bit, come back, and then you get right back to the grind, you get right back to work, and you learn from that experience. It's always an opportunity to learn, take things away from it. So that's basically the kind of recap for travel, for vacation, for holiday. The last little bonus piece I want to touch on here is for whether it's our commercial truckers or pilots, or if you're even flying. This is all kind of another category. And lastly, even before I get into that, if you're traveling time zones, like when we went to Thailand, it took time for us to adjust. And I didn't have this resource that I actually discovered after wanting to fly back. It's specifically addressing jet lag and some strategies that have been actually backed by peer-reviewed research studies to support how the body can respond based on circadian rhythm and certain behavior patterns that you could prep yourself. So check that PDF below as well. It'll have the flying jet lag resource in there. So now let's talk about, for our, again, commercial drivers, truck drivers, or even pilots. And even if you're just going to be flying, I think a lot of this fits in the same category, because you might be going into extended stays. You might be able to move about the cabin. Now, if you're like a passenger on a flight, don't start just busting out burpees and shit in the middle aisle. However, getting up, if you can go to the bathroom, to walk, doing that every bit, to just get some mobility. If you feel comfortable and confident, depending what the kind of regulations are with where you're flying, if you want to get a stretch on and try and move a bit, that's great. Now, when we're talking about from a pilot or a driver's position, you have hopefully space in the cabin from a driver. For a pilot, I'm not going to expect you to do anything while you're driving, but being able to, in between flights, leverage that downtime. There's opportunities there. And that's, again, where the exercises that we have in our PDF below can really become in handy. And even having a go bag, having some basic equipment, maybe a change of clothes, maybe a pair of sneakers, light stuff that you can easily travel with. You can even fit in a backpack. Doesn't take up a lot of space, and you can have easy, even snacks in there, dry, non-perishable items that can last with you. So you're never in a too tight of a spot with either eating something when you're starving, or being able to get some work in when there's the window of time to do that. So again, I hope that was helpful for you guys. I also apologize talking a little bit fast. I was hyped about this. I did a lot of research. Might even have too much coffee today. But I appreciate you guys. And you might even have some more bonus stuff from Chuck, but that is it from me. I will see you guys next week, and hopefully you're enjoying a vacation if you're on it. I know I'm going to enjoy this vacation. Later, y'all.